The Florida real estate market, is it really crazy right now? Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Renick. I'm the team lead, the senior broker of Team Renick. We're part of that great Mangrove Realty Associates family. My guest this morning is Mr. Michael Hankin. Michael.
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Not only is Michael a prominent and board certified real estate attorney here in Sarasota, he's an all-around good guy.
Thanks, Mike.
We chatted a little bit before the video, and we opted just to talk a little bit about the crazy market. Everyone knows it's a seller's market. Sellers should and are taking full advantage of the market conditions, and that's fair. But on the buy side, it's a little bit different. And I've shared in many videos that buyers can still win up to a point given the conditions. In other words, you're going to pay market price. And would you agree market price is climbing?
Sometimes over market price with the small inventory.
So our approach to buyers right now are completely different in terms of getting them ready. So the first thing is what I've always firmly believed and fought really hard is of the two contracts that Florida allows, the only one that is right for my clients is what they call the as-is. And the as-is, of course, since you know this better than I do, doesn't mean you're buying something sight unseen. It means during the inspection process, you have a right to walk away.
Right.
Sellers aren't accepting that anymore. They want that buyer locked down. So when we use the other contract, basically, if the seller agrees to fix what's found with the inspection, buyer has to go forward, correct?
Correct, right.
So that changes the dynamic right there. But how does a buyer win? I mean, there's bidding wars. So how do you make your offer stand out? And that's the question we wrestle with, correct?
Correct, and we see that so commonly today that a property will hit the market and within a day or 2 days, there are multiple different offers coming in. So really, I think the purpose of this conversation is to discuss different ways to make the offer that your client makes a lot more competitive when you have a seller looking at 4 or 5 different offers. And there's a lot of interesting strategies. I know you've used some here recently, and one is, as you said, using the repair limit contract because it locks the buyer in, which is more advantageous to the seller. And then what are some other strategies you've been
What I like to do, so let's say there's an opportunity, let's just pick a figure, it's a $500,000 price, condo or a home, could be $200,000, it could be $2 million, whatever. So I don't want to give up the opportunity to maybe get it below the asking price. So, but I don't want to lose the deal if the buyer wants it. So let's use this example and say it's $500,000. We go in maybe at $480,000 with an escalation clause. So what we say is that if a competing offer comes in during the negotiation process, before our offer is accepted, we will beat it by, let's say $5,000, whatever, okay? So that automatically says, if nothing else comes in higher than 480, we get it below market or get it below the asking price. If something comes in, let's say at 495 or something, we can trump it by $5,000. Now, I always encourage my buyers to put a ceiling on it because someone may walk in and say that $500,000 property is worth $600,000 and it might not be worth that to my buyer. So the key is, I believe coming in below ask, you put an escalation clause on it so that you can trump it by X thousands of dollars, but then you put a ceiling on it. So you've covered both ends. I keep my buyer in the running, but if there is no competition out there, we get it at a fair price.
And that's one of the very aggressive strategies we've seen, and it does work. It's important from what we see is not only to have an agent who understands that an escalation clause is a thing and can be used, but can also communicate what that is to the listing agent who may not be aware of it. Escalation clauses were virtually non-existent a year and a half ago.
Correct.
So this is one of the on the cusp changing things that is really making it a dynamic market.
There's some other things we can talk about. We'll come back again in another video. But when a client is prepared to go forward with a mortgage backed deal, not cash, there's another strategy we use. So in the series right now, we plan to pivot just a little bit from being out in the field and we'll talk a little bit more about how buyers can still win in this market. If you have questions on that, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help, whether I'm your broker or not. If you'd like some suggestions of what we do for our clients, I'm happy to share that. My personal cell is 941-400-8735. Mike, any final parting words?
No, we hope to keep bringing you fun stuff, so we'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone.